All right, we look like we're ready. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Community Redevelopment Agency regular meeting in Dania Beach on Tuesday, May 14th, 2024 at 5:30. Could we please have a roll call?
Chair Ryan?
Here.
Vice Chair Llewellyn?
Here.
Board Member Davis?
Here.
Board Member James?
Here.
Board Member Salvino?
Here.
Executive Director Chen?
Here.
City Attorney Bootsas?
Here.
Chair, you have a quorum.
All right, thank you very much, Clerk. For the citizens' comments portion, do we have anybody from the public that wishes to speak for citizen comments? I see a Brian Cunningham. Yes, sir. Please come up, Mr. Cunningham, and state your name and address.
Thank you, Brian Cunningham. That's Brian with a Y. My address is 1033 Northwest 6th Street, Suite 201B, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Zip code is 33311. I'm here to address first of all, honor to you, the chair of the committee and vice chair and the commission committee members on behalf of Turner Construction Formerly Lavish regarding the property at 601 West Dania Beach Boulevard and considering of the sale and transfer to Habitat for Humanity. We have put a proposal in, submitted, and I'm represented to see where we are with that and to raise question as moving forward what's going to happen today regarding the property. And that's my comment. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cunningham. Any other citizen comments? Okay, seeing none, we're going to move on to our administrative reports with our director, Michael Chen.
Chair Ryan.
Oh, let's get you. There you go.
Thank you, Chair Ryan. Well, as you know, as I announced at our last meeting, we had our open house for the IP to Market Incubator. Mayor Ryan and Vice Mayor Llewellyn attended. Mayor Ryan welcomed everyone to our new tech training center and spoke of the strong economy in the city. Broward Vice Mayor Beam First spoke about how the incubator will expand the county's reputation and capacity as a tech center. J. Chris Ford, PhD, Principal Scientist at FIU Applied Research Center, spoke of the importance of commercializing technology and the high-wage tech support jobs that will be created by emerging new tech companies. Mary Parton, CEO of the Dan Marino Foundation, spoke of her enthusiasm about the potential for the collaborative opportunities between the foundation and the CRA and the incubator. And by the way, Dan Marino Foundation was part of this because we were also celebrating the Dan Marino Foundation's relocation to Dania Beach on the same evening. She also acknowledged that her catering staff were serving the beverages and appetizers for the event. And she spoke of the incubator, I spoke of the incubator establishing Dania Beach as a regional training center that will enhance our ability to collaborate with other workforce training partners to provide programs servicing a wide range of needs, from basic interview skills to university level C-suite skills and everything in between. The keynote speaker was Halil Hudson. Halil is the Director of Technology and Partnerships Office within the National Nuclear Security Agency's defense programs at the Department of Energy. Kathleen O'Fallon, Executive Director of the Marine Research Hub, was there. Michael Sandy McDonald, Director of the Broward Office of Economic and Small Business Development, was there. We had CRA partner agencies, IP to Market advisory members, Arrow partner members. In all, about 45 people attended the ceremony. So we were very pleased with the way that turned out and thank everyone who attended for us. Rebuilding Together held 4 home beautification events during the month of April. At these events, 5 houses were renovated in total. the last one having 2 homes across the street from each other that were done. I thought it would be a good opportunity for me to mention the partners who are volunteering with Innovation Homes that are part of improving our community. Ferguson's, which is national partners with Rebuilding Together, and Home Depot were there on April the 5th. On April the 8th, the Bozuto Group and Home Depot again. On April the 20th, Broward, Palm Beach, St. Lucie Board of Realtors were there as volunteers. And on April 26th, UKG with Home Depot were our volunteers. We want to send our appreciation to all these people who are spending their time and volunteering to help improve our neighborhoods in Dania Beach. The bulk of my report is on the patch. At this time, there's so much going on that there's a lot of news to report. On April 13th, from 9 to 1, the patch held an open house. They did music, conducted surveys, did visioning process. Basically, this was our first opportunity to really find out what people would like to see happening at the patch, when's convenient for them to attend, what kind of hours, what kind of days, and so forth. And we were able to conduct surveys with that and come to some conclusions. In general, I have 3 remarks from the surveys. People are really happy to see the patches back, and that's gratifying. People felt that the patch needed to expand its hours and set up dedicated afternoon and weekend options in the next season. And third, the patch needs to work with nutrition, art, and garden professionals to establish a schedule for senior and after-school youth programming. And with those recommendations, we'll be working on all of that to bring to the patch. Based on the surveys, we were able to come up with a schedule of opening hours that is now published. Just to let you know, we also published this in the May edition of the Dania Beach Press. But basically, the patch open hours will be Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. For walk-in sales and tours, they'll be open from 11 to 1 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And on Wednesdays, that is the time to pick up online orders. Now, I will point out to you that this is the schedule for the summer season. The summer season has a different type of schedule than you'll have in the fall season when we have more crops and so forth. Summer season is kind of slow for the growing season. We are also promoting volunteer days, and the volunteer days is part of what we're here to talk about tonight. It was at the result of a volunteer day where we had the fortuitous opportunity to meet a group from Invitation Homes, which has led to a grant award that will accelerate our opportunity to develop the raised bed expansion plan, and that will be accelerated by at least 2 years thanks to the generosity of Invitation Homes. And they will be here for the presentation of the check shortly. I also received the analytics for our website, our on-site order form website. During the month of April, received over 100 hits. So we're starting to get the audience back and engaged to have the expectation that the patch is there to be engaged with. So our goals based on the surveys and so forth for May through August is a pretty short bullet list. One is to establish regular visiting hours and opportunities for the public to come. The second is to actually build the 46 new raised beds during our calendar year 2024. The third is to actively recruit specialty volunteer groups. And this is kind of a funny one because with all that activity of building the raised beds, that's a lot of heavy lifting. We're actually doing concrete blocks and so forth. So we'll reach out to specialty volunteer groups like high school football teams to come and get their workouts at the patch. And part of what we'll do is we'll work with the county to extend to double the volunteer hours that those type of groups come to help us build. And then we will also do once a month activities for families. We are looking into being able to bring in like a water slide or a bounce house and so forth so that families can come with kids so that they have something to do with our opportunities as well. And as always, we'll continue our growing activity, get the seedlings planted in our new raised beds, and be ready for our full crop production come the fall. So I've already mentioned Invitation Home several times. I'm going to wear your name out a little bit tonight. Thanks to the generation of Invitation Homes and the Spirit Foundation, Spirit Airlines, we will be able to complete the construction of our 46 new raised beds, rebuild and expand the irrigation system, drill a water well for irrigation, and expand our seedling nursery during calendar year 2024. We've already initiated some of the fundamental tasks that we can get going. All of this is contingent on your approval of the resolutions to accept the grant funds tonight. Basically, what we've done for the irrigation system, we're in the process of securing a 3-quote bid tab required by purchasing. Fruitful Fields is going to be a participant in that. We already have an idea of where their price level is in that, but we have to follow purchasing procedures because of the amount of that contract. The irrigation water well, I mentioned this in our discussion a few months ago about strategies. And the idea of doing that, in addition to what was already a pretty copious amount of water that is consumed at the patch, the expansion of our growing beds and so forth will further consume more water. I did check to date during this year, we have been billed over $4,600 for water at the patch. And a water well can probably offset the bulk of those costs in a single year. We're looking at the concrete blocks. We talked about the special task for high school football teams. We're actually looking to buy approximately just shy of 10,000 concrete blocks to build these raised beds. That is a contract of about $18,500. We already have a 3-quote bid tab on that. We're good to go again once the funds are in our hands to move forward. Compost fill. Having built the beds, you had to fill it with dirt. The 46 raised beds will require approximately 300 cubic yards of fill. There is only one vendor in Florida. It does pre-mixed compost that is used by the patch. They have given us a price of $31,500 for the compost. We have to secure a sole source certification for them for the purchasing process, so we've initiated that process through purchasing. And then for the bottom layer of the raised beds, we're going to do a mulch fill that will separate the compost and dirt from the ground soil below. And this is one of the assets of our relationship with Fruitful Fields. Fruitful Fields has dependable contractors who will supply the mulch to us for free. Okay. Fruitful Fields has also mentioned that they have access to a small tractor. As we get these beds built and start filling them with the compost and so forth, that is a lot of dirt to move around. They'll bring a tractor to the patch site to actually help us move the dirt around. And with that, with this type of plan, we think that we can implement this fully during the year and actually get this up to where the bulk of those beds will be ready for the planting for the fall growing season. I have also given you some photos at the end of my report. The rebuilding together activities for the 5 houses there's some photos here for you. And the flyer that we put out about the patch opening hours for the summer is also here. And with that, that is my admin report.
Thank you, Director. I see I have a question from Commissioner James, Board Member James.
Yes, thank you. I'll start first with the composting. There used to be composting on site. Are we no longer doing that?
No, this is, first of all, this is a lot of dirt to do, and we really don't have the facilities to take and mix in a homogeneous manner. This is a mix of about 10 or 12 organic compounds to make the compost. In other words, it's not just topsoil. It's actually a mixed bed specifically to grow vegetables in raised beds. So we don't have the capacity to do this on site.
Right, I'm not talking about for the amount. I don't have an issue with the purchase of the composting. I'm asking for educational purposes and for engagement in the community. There used to be composting bins. I used to drop off my compost stuff there all the time. Are we no longer doing that?
We in fact, we have a couple of small compost type of fixtures there. So yes, we'll continue that activity there, but it's produces such small quantities. It's not suitable for for this project.
Okay. The summer schedule, the hours 8 to 11. Who are you targeting with 8 to 11? Because it can't be anyone that's working a 9 to 5.
Well, part of that is because that is the hours that the patch is workable during the summer. During the heat of the summer afternoons, frankly, it's not very productive for people to be out there. There's going to be, frankly, a lot of overtime work just building the beds. So that's, when you're doing that kind of construction work, that's really not an environment for visitors and walkthroughs. So it'll be with, the hours that are scheduled are actually planned to take into effect what hours the actual farming hours at the patch, as well as the construction activity that would be going on to keep people safe and out of that construction work.
So these hours aren't for people to shop?
No, no. The hours I've listed are actually for engagement with the public. Those are very specific to be engaged with the public.
When can people go shop at the patch is my question.
Shopping's Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 8 a.m. to 11. Tour and shop Tuesday and Thursday, 11 to 1. And pre-order pickup on Wednesdays. And they can also shop online. We have online, and we're promoting our online orders 24/7.
Okay, I just have a little bit of a concern. 8 to 11, it doesn't give much for working. That's why I'm asking what demographic are you targeting? Because anyone who's working can't come during any of those hours at the patch. I mean, I want us to be successful, and I understand the heat. I'm trying to find the balance of us trying to get sales and bringing people here, or inviting after work hours or something to where the working community can have a chance to go to the patch and not just shop online.
Yeah, I think that what you're looking for is actually what is more likely to be reflected in the fall schedule. Once we actually have an abundance of produce for people to come and shop. We have pretty limited supplies of crops that had come out during the summer. That was part of the thing as well.
Okay, so what's the fall schedule? That was my last question.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I don't have the fall schedule yet. It's going to be developed as we come to it. But the fall schedule is meant to be more flexible, and it takes into account that the amount of produce that's available for people to buy in the fall is much more substantial.
Okay, just keep in mind everyone that we would want to come and shop, because 3 hours is not going to do it for a lot of people. Thank you.
Yes, we will definitely do that. The whole idea is to try to catch people in their convenience.
Commissioners, Board Member Salvino.
Thank you, Chair. I have just a couple questions for you, Michael. I calculate up the money that you're spending for the compost and the concrete block and all the things. If it wasn't for the $78,000 in grants, that'd be a lot of money that we putting out of your CRA budget, is that right?
It would have been. That's why we'd anticipated doing it over a period of 2 to 3 years.
Right, okay, so I guess the question is in return for, besides that, if we had to do that individually, the return is what I'm looking for. I know we're not looking for a profit because that's not what it's not there for. It's just that I hope that, that the community garden develops enough produce to give either back, sell it back, or give the community the produce to be able to use with these funds that are coming up. So along with this, I see that the two, using the acceptance of the money from the Invitation Homes and also from Spirit Airlines. I would like to request from you to possibly send a letter to all of the builders that are going on in Dania Beach and ask them for concrete block. And I would imagine that you would probably get it, and that would probably save you another $15,000 or so. So if I know your staff is slim, but it's something that if you sent it out, I think that you'll get those block either that or have them send it to the concrete plants that they're selling all this concrete to everybody, that we might be able to utilize it. I think you'd be surprised how quickly you'll get that product.
I appreciate the suggestion. We'll try that. I will tell you that the lowest quoted price on this came from Home Depot, who gave us a discounted price from anybody else, including the manufacturer of the block.
Okay, well, I'm not asking for from Home Depot or Lowe's or anything. I'm looking for the builders to pay for it.
We'll make that outreach.
Okay.
That's a good suggestion.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So thank you, Board Chair.
No problem. Thank you, Board Member Salvino. Board Member Davis.
Yes, just for clarification, I just wanted to make sure that during that 8 to 11 period, you would be able to have volunteers during that time, such as, I don't know, day camps. I know that I introduced you to a sorority who wanted to volunteer and bring their sorority and possibly different fraternities who wanted to participate, and organizations such as Hands on Broward. So is that designated time the only time that they would be able to volunteer and participate, or is there another designated time for them?
Volunteer groups are not necessarily within the constraints of the full opening. There will be, they're anticipated to be a regular schedule of volunteer hours through the afternoon. Partly, again, when you're doing the heavy blocks and that type of stuff, that's kind of work that needs to be done when a lot of people's not around, so not with the public. So there will be longer hours for volunteer groups. Yeah.
In the fall?
Pardon?
In the fall or not?
Throughout. In fact, we do work with volunteers beyond our normal opening hours always.
So they can schedule a specific time to come and volunteer?
Yes, they can.
Okay, I wanted clarification.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments? All right, thank you very much. We'll go on to presentations, and this is item 4.1. This is a check presentation by Invitation Homes.
Okay. If I may, let me introduce Randy Gray, who is the Senior Vice President of Operations for Invitation Homes. Along with him, we have Joseph Guerin, Don Nason, Beth Bertrand, and Laura Cronin. In fact, it looks like our crowd has grown, so I don't have all the names.
We have Don Nason, who is our head of leasing in South Florida, and then John Clark, who is also head of our basically property management for the Dania Beach area and north. So yeah.
Thank you. I'd like to point out that the bulk of this group came from Dallas, especially for this ceremony.
Oh.
So we appreciate your arrival here.
Well, actually, only one came from Dallas. It was Lauren, and there'll be one more. Our director of media relations will be here tomorrow for the volunteer from, I believe, 8:30 to noon, right? 12:30. To answer your question, volunteers are way after 11 o'clock. So, but a great question. That was my question too. So.
If I may, let me provide some advice real quickly here so that you don't feel interrupted. Part of this, I wanted to document your generosity, and we have a videographer in the room. He will be photographing the check presentation and so forth. This is also part of the suggestion that came from Commissioner James and Commissioner Davis about doing something about kind of video documenting the rebirth of the patch. So this is the start of that. So I don't want you to be disrupted.
I think we've been volunteering for how long at the patch? Years.
Say close to 3 years.
Yeah, 3 years. So I know the group here really enjoys it. We're honored to be here with you and the Dania Beach community and the patch. My name is Randy Gray, as you said, with Senior Vice President of Field Operations at Invitation Homes for Florida, actually. You know, we've really tried as a company to prioritize our commitment to the communities we serve, and it's so important to us to give back to those communities, and that's one reason this is happening tonight. Our local team has also, over the last 3 years, found real joy in volunteering at the patch, and I've heard just nothing but great things about it. So we're genuinely excited to make the contribution tonight and to aid in all the stuff you explained about the patch. That was a great presentation on what it's about. I think we have a volunteer event tomorrow, and the team is looking forward. I think we have 15 or 20 people coming tomorrow, so it'll be a really good day for us. But we just want to say our priority is really to give it back to you as a community, and to do anything we can do to revitalize the communities we're in and help them in any way possible. So thank you for the opportunity to do this, and the check.
We'll come down and accept it.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, sounds good.
Everybody likes a big check, right?
Are we videographing? Come on, Joe, get in here.
He's behind.
Hi, great to meet you. Joe Garen, pleasure. Great to meet you. Joe Garen, pleasure. Good to meet you. Joe Garen. Go get it. Oh, wait, come on, that's all right. Me.
Because there's such a beautiful part of what's going on here, I've invited Bianca and Jamie from Fruitful Fields to join us in this, to share in the celebration.
I just say that Beth Bertrand is our coordinator of all of this.
I hate to say this, but you need to be on the microphone. We can't hear you.
I just want to say something about Beth Bertrand has coordinated over the last 3 years all of our volunteer events at the patch, and so just thank you for everything you do for Invitation Homes and for the patch. Thanks.
And I got everybody on the end, so you're included. That's great. You got it.
All right, that was great. Thank you, Invitation Homes. It's great to see the philanthropy that's going towards the patch. We've really revitalized it, and to see these efforts from these private businesses giving back to our community, it really means a lot to us, and we definitely are appreciative of it. So, on that item, we'll go to the consent agenda. Are there any items that the board would like to remove from the consent agenda? Board Member James?
Yes, no, but I would like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed say nay. The consent agenda passes unanimously. Okay. So that consent agenda was us accepting the grant for $53,835 from Invitation Homes. Thank you very much. And it was the board accepting the $25,000 grant from the Spirit Charitable Foundation as well. So that's almost $80,000 that we have going towards the patch. It's really great to see the strides that we've made in the last year regarding the patch. We didn't even know what we were going to do with the patch, like probably 6 to 8 months ago. So this is very fulfilling, and it's great to see that we have direction now.
Mayor, can I say something to you really quick?
Sure, please, Commissioner Davis. Board member.
Invitation Homes, before you leave, I do want to not only thank you for your monetary contribution, but also on April the 8th, we were preparing for our first Born Learning Trail at Tootie Adler Park on the beach. And April 8th, your group came out in droves. They were just so warm and so willing to do whatever was necessary to prepare for our first Born Learning Trail. So you have awesome, awesome volunteers, awesome hearts, and thank you for what you're doing to revitalize our patch. We really greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thanks again, we can't say it enough. Okay, we don't have any proposals and bids, so we're gonna go to discussion and possible action. This is item 7.1.
A resolution of the Board of Directors of the CRA of the City of Dania Beach authorizing the sale of CRA-owned property locating at 608 West Dania Beach Boulevard to Habitat for Humanity of Broward for the purpose of developing the property for use as for sale low-income affordable housing, 80% AMI and/or workforce housing, affordable housing, 120 AMI, authorizing the proper city officials to execute the deed with restrictive covenant requiring a 30 years of affordable housing and related documents for the parcel for this purpose, providing for conflicts and an effective date.
Go ahead, Director Chen.
Thank you. Just to refresh your memory on this, we had brought this back to discuss the prospect of putting this property back up on the market to attract opportunities for the development of low-income or workforce affordable housing at 608 West Dania Beach Boulevard. I will remind you that we had done this last fall, and the process ended up with somewhat skewed results, so it was taken off. But this was the version 2 of that RFP, and we did have 2 qualified bidders for it. Habitat of Humanity Broward is one, and Turn 2 Construction was the other. You have both proposals in your package. The RFP Review Committee unanimously recommended the selection of a Habitat for Humanity, and they were requested to be here tonight in case you had questions.
Director, it was two offers?
There were 2 offers.
Okay.
Yes.
And so, what was the offer that we got from Turn 2 Construction?
Well, both of them were basically proposals to take the land at the token value of $1 and then to develop 2 affordable housing units on that property at no additional incentive or funding from the city or CRA.
Okay, I thought Turn 2 was offering us cash value.
It was a little bit confusing because there was a description of cash, but it was described as a result of a loan with the CRA. And we don't quite understand what that was because there was no discussion of a loan with the CRA.
Oh, so they were like asking for seller financing?
Again, we weren't allowed to talk with them about that. So again, their proposal, in fact, I may be able to find the description for you, the language, if you'd like.
Yeah, I just want clarification on
okay,
the 2
the
offers.
clarification was they had talked about acquiring the land, but then they talked about an $80,000 payment for this. but it was from the proceeds of a loan from the CRA, which was very confusing, and the panel didn't know how to take that, and that's part of why it was opted to recommend Habitat for Humanity.
Okay. Can we hear from Turn Two Construction? Are they here?
I think that they do have representatives here.
All right, great. Board Member James, would you like to ask a question before?
No, I'll wait.
Okay,
Thank you.
I'll leave you on.
I'll repress it, it's fine.
Good evening.
Hello.
My name is Christina Anthony from Turn to Construction. To clarify, in our proposal, we submitted that we would be paying for the lot with cash, not using the CRA's funds. So I do want to make that clarification.
Okay.
Can you give us your proposal? Like, tell us what it was exactly so we understand it.
Yes. So we propose to purchase the land and develop the property. Our purchase price we had put in our letter. I'm sorry, one moment. Just want to confirm.
It was right around there. It was 80 and change or something like that. Right there.
80,000.
Yeah, 80,000. So we propose to purchase the land for 80,000, and we would be building 2 units on the lot for affordable housing.
Okay, and what's your process with the affordable housing? Like, how you have qualified candidates that
So-
enter those properties? Yeah.
Yeah. We are affiliated with a nonprofit, a nonprofit arm that does all of our HUD counseling certifications for finding those buyers. We successfully, as just a reminder to the board, did do some projects with Dania Beach earlier late last year actually, and we found two buyers at 80% AMI to the covenant. And so that same process would be what we would do in getting those buyers for these projects as well.
Okay. Thank you. Board Member James?
Yes, I have a question now. And this was my little packet I left everyone here. I left this specifically for this conversation because I know we speak about, and I'm always advocating for 80% AMI, and I just wanted to provide justification as to why. These are our first responders. And I have a question for you, so give me 1 second. These are our first responders, their salaries, the minimum salaries start all the way from $54,000. Teachers, maximum $51,000. Firefighters start at $58,000. And then we know that the development in Hollywood that recently happened had 18,000 inquiries for 100 units for 80% for 80% AMI. And so I know that the county has a 10-year master plan that they are dedicated to doing 1,000 units in Broward County annually for the next 30 years. And they're asking that all of us participate in that. And I understand that we always have this discussion here. And we want to support our first responders. We want to support our teachers. And we need to understand what the cost of living is and what that means for a single family that would be a teacher. They wouldn't be able to afford the 120%. So what I'm asking you and the board, I guess, is there an option to have like a first wave of just 80% AMI so we can see if we have individuals that fit that criteria or that could afford to do this? I know that one of the concerns were we couldn't find qualified candidates, but can we do that process first to see if we can find people at 80% AMI and then that second tier can be the 120%, or are you not allowed to do that?
Yeah, we absolutely can, put in the contract that we will do 80% AMI, and if it needs to be something we need to address with the commission to come back to do 120, we'd be more than happy to do that. One of the things that occurred when we did the first 2 units is we did turn away a couple of city employees that really wanted the project. They were just over by 1%. And so the reason why we even went to this proposal at 120% was to try to capture those folks that, even if it's $1 more, Broward County unfortunately takes them out of that 80%. So we just wanted to make sure we capture those people, but our goal is to really capture more than 80%.
Okay, yes, because it's such a fine line when you look at some of these salaries. It's like $1,000,
Yeah.
you're out, you
Right.
know, and you can't afford it. So I just want to make sure that I know that we have a huge crisis,
Yeah, no,
and
absolutely.
we have a whole lot of unaffordable living around here. I mean, it's a national crisis. It's
Yeah,
not just a
absolutely.
Dania Beach thing, but I want to make sure that, you know, we have a lot of homeless that's happening now. We have a lot of people that can't afford these rents. They can't afford homes. You know, we have teachers that want to afford homes, but they fall in the 80%. In the last meeting I had a few people come up to me and said, thank you, because that's me. And maybe they're a little embarrassed to say so, but if rents and prices keep going the way it is, we're all going to be 80% AMI, you
Right,
know? And so I wanted to ask the board if they could consider, after all of the discussion, to have that first tier at 80%, or just see what that looks like, what kind of pool you get. And then if not, come back to the 120. Thank you.
Well, Vice Chair?
Yes, thank you. Michael, so explain to me what was Habitat's offer?
Habitat's offer was simply they would pay $1. They would put 2 attached dwelling units on it. They're not calling them townhouses, but it would be attached, 2 attached dwelling units on the property at whatever AMI levels
So-
we had a preference to.
So what I'm understanding from what you're telling me, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but that's the bulk of what I wanted to know, is you're telling me basically that we're giving the property to Habitat if we go with them, whereas they're willing to pay for it.
That's correct, but I have found a section that caused the selection committee, or the review committee, the question. If I may read this to you?
You can read it, but it doesn't, I mean, they've already said here that it's not CRA money.
Well, that's true, but let me read this to you so you can understand where the review
Go ahead, read
committee came from. This is on their financial terms and conditions. It's paragraph 4, purchase price funding. The purchase price of $80,000 for the property will be funded by a loan from the Dania Beach Community Redevelopment Agency. All right?
Is there interest with that loan?
Can you explain that to us?
I mean, that's what was in the proposal.
No, so our loan is with South Florida Regional Planning Council, the same lender that funded the other project that we did. So we already have that line of credit with them, and they've already pre-approved to purchase this land and do the development for this project.
Okay. Again, we could only go by what was written in their proposal.
I have a question though, because if I can, Habitat what I saw has 3 townhomes, not 2.
I think that they're looking at 2. I think, as I understand from the discussion that was before this RP started, that the additional money that was part of the issue for the first time around was because there was abnormal costs associated with infrastructure.
Yeah, it's 3 townhomes.
Oh, we previously submitted. That was their previous submission. Yeah. Yeah. So the 3 townhomes presented challenges with the infrastructure that was going to cost them $400,000 to $450,000. This is why they came back to us for money. But when they came back for this time around and redesigned this with 2 units instead, it did not have those abnormal infrastructure costs, and that's why they specifically stated in their proposal that there would be no additional contributions from the city or CRA.
Okay, so Eve, let me ask you then. She's telling us now that they are fully funded. That would be something that would go into a contract, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay, so they're telling us that they're willing to pay the $80,000 from the funding that they do have. We don't have to make the selection of Habitat for Humanity then, do we? We can change
It's
that.
ultimately your decision. You have a
Okay.
recommendation.
Okay. Because they did an excellent job with the last project that I recall, and I know they were educating people, and they were bringing people in to come see everything, and they did a really good job, and they
did.
obviously sold them. So good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any more questions for turn 2? Board Member Davis? Okay.
Not specifically for turn 2, but we kind of switched the conversation from Board Member James to Vice Chair Llewellyn get these things. But I understand the 80% AMI, and I do agree, and I'm glad that you did provide the salaries. I was privy to having one of the city employees who actually did, like, was just over the amount. So that small borderline prevented somebody who works in the city, and that's what we want to say, we want to live, work, play in the city, that prevented that person from being able to purchase a home. So I do want to be cautious about it. I do understand that we do need to have the 80% AMI for so many people, but I don't want to cut out that group of people who were in line and really would have been able to just be able to purchase a home for themselves in the city of Dania Beach. So I just wanted to share that with the board and let you understand that I understand both sides, but I don't want to cut out our own employees who would be able to qualify for this.
Thank you, Board Member. Thank you, Board Member Davis. Board Member James?
I was just gonna ask, could we scratch that language then? The language that's unclear, that's saying that it's a loan from the city. I wanna make sure that's on the record that it'll be scratched. Is that okay with you all? And
Yes.
The minutes will reflect that the
Okay.
language from their proposal will not be a loan from the city of there's Frank
yeah,
DiPaolo,
oh,
Yes.
okay.
our finance
Thank
director.
you.
If you don't mind moving
Come
over
on
for
up,
1
Frank.
second.
Well, Christine, I think you're okay for now. Yeah, if we need you, we'll call you back up. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Frank DiPaolo. I'm the Chief Financial Officer for the city. I don't normally ask to come up here. I wait to be called upon. But in this case, I feel that it's absolutely necessary to put some comments on the record because I was involved with this process. I oversee procurement for the city, and we have a very formal and structured procurement process. The way this was conducted, it was a formal request for proposals. These are sealed bids that are sealed until we open them. We open them in the public, and then we have the committee deliberate and make a selection. The terms that were provided in that sealed proposal are what the committee went on when they made their selection. Not only, I want to point out a few other things to you separate, I'm just giving you clarification as to why the committee made the selection they made. In addition to the loan that was supposed to be funded by the CRA, which was unclear and not customary, they're getting financing for $52,000 of pre-development funds. They're getting financing for $400,000 of construction costs. So all of their funding on paper in their sealed proposal was from other sources. The proposal from Habitat is a self-funded proposal. They have private donors, they have a foundation, and aside from the fact that they weren't offering any money for the property, according to the committee and what they discussed, it seemed like a more stable, straightforward proposal without variables and contingencies and third parties involved. So you're more than welcome to make a selection based on your gut feeling and what you think is the best for the CRA right now. But this is why the committee made the selection, and this is why Director Chen put this forward the way that he did. So I just want to clarify that we don't typically have companies come up here and start making material changes to their sealed proposal, because if there's 5 other companies involved and nobody else has a chance to do that, it takes away the fairness of the sealed proposal process that we conduct and that we kind of hold sacred when we do these things. So I just want to put that on the record and make sure you're aware of all that before you move forward.
Okay, I have 2 questions now for you. What would be your recommendation from a procurement standpoint of documents saying one thing, but I'm not sure if it was a mistake or an oversight or whatever it was, only because I know that we've worked with this particular company before. And my second question would be for the procurement of the other property that they produced. Were their funding sources the same? Were there various funding sources for that? Is that consistent in how they're conducting their business? Because I wouldn't want to penalize them from being able to go out and fundraise and complete projects. So I want to know a little about that.
Actually, I know that they did a great job with the first one. So what we're talking about tonight, in my opinion, has nothing to do with that. I was actually pleased to see that they provided a proposal because we know that we had a great turnout with that last project.
Mm-hmm.
As far as What was the first question? I know the second question. What was the first question?
The first question would be, what would be your recommendation from a procurement standpoint? Because that's what you're speaking from, a procurement standpoint, because you're saying this is not normally the process. This is not fair that we're doing this. Okay, what would be your recommendation if we said, okay, I'm not sure what happened, things happen, but if they're willing to pay the $80,000, and we decided that we wanted to continue the conversation with them, what would be appropriate and the best practice so that we are covered up here with the decisions that we're making?
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you that in this case, when we see the terms on paper, the committee doesn't have to request more information if they feel comfortable in the number one that they selected. And they did feel comfortable with Habitat, and they didn't request any clarification on the loan terms or anything like that, because we had two very, similar but very different proposals. And it was obvious to them which one they thought was the most responsive at the time. If you do feel that you want to go in a different direction, you're more than welcome to do that. But I would recommend that you don't do it based on what they brought forward tonight in changing their proposal. If you just feel that they're the better firm and you want to go that route, that you're more than welcome to do that. You have the ability. It's your decision to who you want to award it to at this point. But generally speaking, we don't have vendors coming up and changing terms of their proposals in a sealed bid process on the dais when the item is being considered.
Is there an additional process that we can put them back through so that we don't just say, oh, we like them because they did a project before, that we can go through that? I just want to make sure that we're being professional and we're doing things the right way. And with this new information that you're saying, I want to make sure that we're following the best practices. So what would be the best practice to get us to have further conversation if the board decided that we wanted to go with them?
My opinion would be to reject the proposals and put it out to bid again.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'd like
Thank
to
you.
clarify that I would like to see an actual contract. They could prepare a FAR contract and present it to the city for the purchase price and the terms and everything, and their financing source as well. And then it's easy, it's clear cut and dry, and we could digest it that way. Okay. And we could give them, I guess, a specific template that they both can use to make it fair.
Okay.
For RFP, yeah. Come on, Christina, please.
Thank you.
Thanks, Frank.
I just wanted to clarify after finding the portion that Mr. Chen was reading where we put our offer price on there. I understand how it could have been misconstrued, but we did specifically state that South Florida Regional Planning would be funding the purchase of that project. And we listed the VP for that organization, Jeffrey Tart, the senior loan officer, as that authorizer. So if you look at that paragraph, it does show that we are asking for, that we are explaining that lending institution is funding that. So it wouldn't be a change. What it is actually stating is that we're purchasing the $80,000 from Dania Beach CRA with the funds from South Florida Regional Planning Council.
If I may, and again, our experience with Turn 2 Construction was very good. You did a wonderful job on that previous property that you did. So there is the confusion of that paragraph that I read to you right out of their proposal. But the second piece of this was that in terms of the documentation that came with this, there is a letter that they included in their package from the South Florida Regional Planning Council that was actually dated in 2022 that was attached to, it was their funding mechanism or the funding commitment from their previous purchase from us. There was not a current letter reflecting a more current or an active commitment, if you will, from South Florida Planning Council to provide the funding. There was no evidence in that in the package.
Vice Chair?
May I answer? Yeah, it's a revolving line of credit, so those funds would be used to continue to purchase projects here in the Broward County area. And Jeffrey Tart would be happy to obviously confirm that information.
Vice Chair?
So I have a question. If the committee had questions about this, couldn't they have asked them at the time that they were reviewing the bids?
It seemed pretty precise, because the
It doesn't,
language that I read to
apparently.
you was absolutely specific that it was a generator from a loan from the CRA.
Sure, but you also just said that that they were confused by it and they didn't understand what it meant. So if
Well,
that's
it was
the
confusing
case,
because they had not had any conversation with us about a loan from the CRA. That was the confusion.
well, I think that there should have been something where they were actually asking for clarification, since that's what had to do tonight. So, I mean, we're not on the committee, but we're the ones making the ultimate decision, and it seems like it would have made more sense to ask the questions then at the time, so we could have done it from the very beginning.
If I may address, and I was watching from upstairs, we've had a wonderful experience with this company, this young lady. There's nothing illegal, and Eve, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm Anna Garcia, I'm the Chief Executive Officer of the city. So an offer for $1 versus an offer for $80,000, certainly you could use $80,000 for a whole lot of things. Oftentimes when we're reading a proposal, if there's something that's not clear, if we're confused, we ask for clarification. This young lady's asking for clarification. If you put this out to bid when she's already offering $80,000, not only is this going to take longer, but you're already exposing the $80,000 that this young lady in this company is offering. I wouldn't have come down, but there's a big difference between $1 and $80,000. So Eve, unless this is something illegal, this decision belongs to the people that are put up there by our taxpayers. Is this illegal? Yes or no?
Let me step back for a second, please,
Okay,
just for
because
1
if it
second.
is, then
No,
that's-
let me just step back for a
Okay.
second. Ordinarily, I agree with our finance director. I mean, he knows his procurement inside out. And, you don't usually try and switch after a recommendation and going through the process, okay? I think we're all in agreement with that. Looking at the language from turn 2, though, from the purchase price funding, the language that Mr. Chen read in is correct. It does have the word from. If you just change the from to the word to, it's to a loan to the, to purchase the land from the city of Dania Beach, CRA. The second sentence of the purchase price funding is clearly what Christina said, which is the lending institution facilitating the transaction is the South Florida Regional Planning Council. So I think there's enough confusion here that you needed to get the clarity.
Right.
Ordinarily, I would say yes to Frank going back, reject and go back out. I think that is always the cleanest thing to do, but I don't think under these circumstances that you don't have the discretion. So the answer is, I think you can do exactly what you're asking to do.
But we can
because the record has
request-
been made clear. You can
You can
request.
request it being put in a contract though, without
Yes.
it going back out. Yeah,
Yes,
that's all.
that's
I
what I'm
just-
saying.
Yeah, I just want it to be put in a contract. Yeah.
Sorry, he took my agenda.
so we need to make a motion.
Yeah, please.
So then I'd like to make a motion that we reject the current resolution and instead accept the proposal by turn 2 with the provision that we get a contract.
And the other provision, right, with the affordable housing?
Right. And with it, are they here?
Yeah, Habitat's here.
Oh, yeah, come on up. I didn't realize you were here. I
Do
didn't
we, do we have any questions for Habitat?
Hi there, good evening. Carolyn Cozy, Habitat Community of Broward County.
Anybody? Questions?
Board Member James?
Yes, I guess I'll have a question about it going from 3 to 2. Why is it not considered a townhome?
So when we first submitted the proposal earlier last year, we did try to do 3 townhomes to serve more families, but because of the way towns are constructed and the infrastructure required, it was going to be 2. The units would not be affordable, so therefore we resubmitted with the more like a duplex, the single-family attached home, 600 square feet each, that would be financially feasible, and we generally serve between 60 to 80% of the AMI. We can serve both 80 and up to 120, so we could divide the units to serve a more varied income bracket.
So now both would be like a duplex instead of 3 townhomes for both proposals, correct?
Yeah, it's two units.
Okay, so there'll be
It's-
one
it's
story.
basically, yeah, basically a duplex,
Okay.
either or, yeah.
Okay, and, okay, I won't ask the other question. Thank you.
I have a question for Habitat. So, we do have a good relationship with Habitat. You guys built your first house in Broward County here in Dania Beach. So we do appreciate that. And we appreciate you coming back out after you put it out for RFP. But, we had an agreement initially with Habitat for Humanity to donate the property to you guys to build the house. And then you guys came back with us with a $300,000 request for utilities and hookups. But it's right in the middle of the city still. So I was just wondering, I don't know if it's you who I could get clarification on that from, but it kind of messed up the deal. It threw a big wrench in it, and that's why we're in the situation we are today. So I just want an explanation from that. It made us be more skeptical to accept an offer with Habitat for Humanity if we can accept it and they come back out and request $300,000 from the city. So can you just explain that if possible?
Yeah, no, sure. And of course, apologies for the confusion there. We were, of course, aiming to serve more families, so we were trying to do the townhomes that would allow for 3 versus 2. However, it was not just infrastructure in terms of hookups, but in terms of parking, and then the vertical construction of townhomes into taller, more dense units. At the end of the day, we thought we could do it, but did not pencil. So that's how we went back to the 2.
Okay. Board Member James?
Sorry.
There you go. Oh, there you go.
Oh, I wanted to make sure, that's okay. I wanted to make sure, within the motion, it had the 80% AMI.
That's fine.
Okay, first, and then the second one.
So we'll put language in, just to be clear, for the direction of the motion, it would be put language in the purchase and sale contract that the first attempts would be for the ultimate owners to be within the 80 AMI. If there are problems after 6 months or so, whatever the language is, but something along those lines, that they can't do that, then it would go to up to the 120.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that okay with everybody?
That is fine with me.
Do we have a second?
Do we have to clarify the time limit?
If you can, that would be
6
great.
months. I
6
think
months,
6
good?
months.
6 months?
6 months is fine. I'll second it.
Okay, I have a motion to second. Any further discussion?
I do just want to put for the record that I am uncomfortable with awarding, one group the bid and then, switching it out. It just doesn't feel clean to me. I do understand that we have the discretion to do that, and I do love the work that we have done with Turn 2. I think they did a fabulous job. I was able to tour it, but there's just something about almost feeling like the rug is snatched under your feet when you've been told that you want a bid and then turn it around. So I'm not comfortable doing it like that, but I do understand the majority of what my colleagues are saying here, the board is saying here, but I just want to put it on the record that I don't think that that is a best practice to do, and I wish that we could find a way to do it a little bit cleaner. So those are my comments. Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion after the second? All right, I have a motion and a second to go with the bid for Turn 2 Homes with the exception of receiving an actual written contract with the term stated and with the AMI percentage being adjusted for 6 months. Laura, please call it to a vote.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Oh, go ahead, Commissioner.
Yes.
Commissioner James?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Board Member Salvino?
Yes.
Vice Chair?
Yes.
Mullen, and Chair Mayor?
Yes.
Chair Ryan. Chair, the motion passes.
Yes, all right.
Who was the
Clerk.
second?
The second was Vice
James.
Chair.
No, it was my motion.
You were the motion. Oh, yeah.
And it was,
Yeah, motion.
Thank you.
Motion was Vice Chair. Second was Board Member James. All right, thank you. Moving on to item 7.2, please, Eve.
A resolution of the CRA authorizing the proper officials to execute an agreement with Joshua Codner at 19 South Federal Highway LLC to provide a commercial facade grant for the property located at 13 through 19 South Federal Highway in an amount not to exceed $23,095, providing for conflicts and an effective date.
Go ahead, Chair.
Thank you.
Director.
This was a pretty simple facade grant application. It's clearly just for the replacement of the main windows along Federal Highway. The only complication to this is that this address at, described as 13 to 19 South Federal Highway is actually two properties that are used as one. So if you approve this, we would actually do two agreements with two covenants for each of those properties. We did receive the two competitive bids showing their prices. They were like about $1,000 apart. It's pretty clear that this is the price of those windows. Our recommendation is to do the 50% match up to the $23,095, which is 50% of the maximum price. Or the lesser of the actual price.
If both properties are owned by the same person, you can just do it under one, both legal descriptions, one document.
Yeah, whatever you do, you recommend legally, we'll do that, but I will tell you, it's under the Broward County property assessors, two properties. So however you say to do it, we'll follow your lead.
Okay, great. Board Member James?
I'd like to make a motion to approve, but I just want a little bit of clarification. So it's not gonna be up to $23,000 per property. It's gonna
It's
be
in
for both.
total.
Total, okay, thank you. I would like to make a motion to approve.
All right, I have a motion to approve.
Second.
I have a second from Vice Chair. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed say nay. All right, motion passes unanimously. All right, on to board member comments. We will start with Board Member Davis.
Just want to quickly again thank Invitation Homes and Spirit Airlines. I think that we were going down a path where the patch was almost not going to be there, and I think this reinvigoration, this excitement, this investment from our partners is what it's all about. It's about partnering with organizations as well as Fruitful Fields to make it happen, and you are making it happen. And so we have a little ways to go, but I'm very excited about the direction that the patch is going in, and I'm very grateful that we are going in this direction. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Board Member. Board Member James?
Yes, thank you. Piggybacking off of those comments, I just want to say maybe for some of the volunteer work or for once we're up and running in a way that we can get some volunteers. I know that we have summer coming up and we have summer camp programs coming. And early in the morning, I think it'll be a great opportunity for that exposure for our kids to learn how to plant. It should be some type of programming there that you build sustainability from the ground up and with the young kids and not wait until we're our age. You really can have their ear and mold them now into doing that with our 3 summer camp parks that we have, and to provide some programming for their staff as well. So please reach out to them as well as our elementary schools that will have their own summer camps going as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member. Member Salvino?
I have no comments tonight.
All right. Vice Chair?
Just thank Spirit and Invitation Homes, and other than that, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, good work here, Board. Looks like we, received some great grants from these private organizations, and we're making some headway with our patch, and it's great to see more facade grants being utilized as well. It's really stepped up a little bit, and you can notice it in our city. I think what they did over at Grandma's Own, Grandma's Secret, over at Grandma's Secret. It looks great, and it's noticed. I think that was the last facade grant we did, correct? Yeah, so on to the next one. Looking forward to it. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody.